So our first topic that we have is what's one of the hardest inputs that it was for you to do growing up and even now, like, and if it's two different ones, that's fine. But I know for me growing up, when you're back when they used to actually, back in the olden days when you used to actually get a game and it came with a manual, you could actually like look through it and see like the inputs and stuff. And especially like in Tekken games, you used to look at the inputs and just like, okay, I'm gonna just get in here and mash buttons, so it don't matter. But so yeah, what were some of the hardest inputs for you guys growing up, and even now, like if there's some that you have a difficulty doing, starting with you, Devin.
Okay, so as soon as you said this topic, the first image that came to my mind was Street Fighter Alpha 3's guidebook in the original game. And I just looking in that as a kid, I was like, how would it, like this is not possible. What is these inputs? Like you got up, down, like what is this? Akuma's Raging Demon. I'm like, there's no way that's possible. How can you go from light punch? Like that's not possible. So I think honestly, it would have to be the Raging Demon and the DP. Because also at that time, if you saw the DP motion, how they illustrated in the books, it was like a Z motion. I'm like, it's not a Z. How do I do a Z on a D-pad or analog stick? That's not possible. Until you get older, you understand, they're just showing the direction that you, okay, like, but at that time, I'm like, a Z, I guess I just won't be doing that move. I'm just going to stick with just regular light punch and a Hadoken every now and then if I get lucky. So I would definitely say that it was Dragon Punch for me when I was a kid because I just like this is like cryptic. Now that I've gotten a lot more adept at fighting games, I think the only thing I have trouble with now is, and this is mainly if I play on arcade stick. I normally play on pad, but if I do happen chance play on arcade stick, doing a input like a normal into a super or normal into a special into like a double motion super, because some games now they have supers with just one motion. With Street Fighter, it's still double motion. Some other games still double motion. Sometimes I kind of have trouble doing that consistently, especially if I'm like get a count hit and I wasn't prepared for it. Like I still have trouble like doing that 100% of the time. I can still do it, but it's like I still have trouble with that. That's why normally I play pad, because if I do play stick, it's like I might miss it, but I'm more comfortable with pad, so I'm less prone to drop it on pad. But I still have issues with that. Just doing a low forward into a fireball into a double super. For some reason, it's just like it just does not come out sometimes. And I know some games, like specifically with G, like doing a move like his crouching fierce into his little punch. It's like a dragon punch motion, right? If you don't do that properly, you get a super. So I still have trouble with like trying to go back to like neutral instead of, because if you do it too fast, you'll get his super instead of just you go crouching fierce in the super instead of the punch. So that's still kind of annoying. It's like, can I just like why didn't y'all just make this quarter circle forward instead of dragon punch anyway, or that or charge move something like that? But yeah, I would definitely say those are my hardest inputs growing up and now as I'm older. So
So first off, um, I would probably go ahead and agree and say that like my one of my hardest inputs was definitely doing a DP. Doing it with DP when I was a kid, I like just like you, Devin. When I looked at the instructions for the input, they're like a Z input. How exactly am I supposed to do that? That makes no sense. Especially I don't know. I used to play Guilty Gear a lot, and I'm like, how am I supposed to do this in the middle of a fight where everything's moving at high speed? My brain just doesn't move that fast. So when I was a kid, I'm like, I can't do it. I'm just not going to do it. I guess I'll just have to manage without it. Um, Another input that some people might seem like it might have seemed easy to other people, but was completely outside the realm of my understanding were charge inputs, like the hold back and then do forward, hold down and do up. I I had no idea what that meant. I was like, okay, so how long do I hold the button? Is like, should I be holding it for this long? Can I do it instantly? I don't understand what is a charge input. I remember there was a guy I used to know. His name was Lando, and he was like, "Oh yeah, all you gotta do is do this," and I'm like, "I don't understand what you're saying to me. What do you're just saying these things, and I don't understand." I was like, what, like 11 at the time, so I'm like, I don't get it. You're explaining the charge inputs, but it's not getting through. Now I'm like, okay, cool. I can do a charge input, but back then I didn't know how to do a charge input. Even when I got to college, I'm like, man, I guess I got PTSD from not doing it correctly when I was a kid. So I'm like, I don't want to play a character with charge input, and I really wanted to play Urian in Third Strike. Like I really wanted to play Urian, but I was like, charge input, I can't do it. So I kind of had to break through that, and then eventually, I started playing on Hitbox. So doing charge inputs with Hitbox for me is a lot easier than doing it on pad or stick. Um, Now, right now, the most difficult input for me because I'm playing Hitbox is 360s, 360s and 720s because it's just like really. I mean, it's for me. It's just really weird to do on Hitbox. At least for me, there's like shortcuts and stuff. I haven't learned any of them because the only grappler character I play right now is Astrop, and all of his inputs for throws are either quarter circle forward, quarter circle back, back forward, forward back, and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily need to use the 720 or the 360 that often, but I have a feeling like I'm trying to play like move into playing grapplers with other games. So eventually I'm gonna have to learn some of the shortcuts. I'm gonna have to get with our boy Coach Fat Boy and probably ask him how to do some of them shortcuts. But yeah, but back to the original thing, like back in the olden days, the hardest ones were the DP and the charge inputs because those charge inputs made absolutely no sense. They don't really explain. Okay, you should hold the back button for like 2 or 3 seconds and then hit the forward button and the input, like the actual punch or whatever. It's just like forward back, forward back, and then the thing. I mean, what's so hard about that? Like, just explain it better. But anyway, yeah, that would be those were my hardest.
I would say I attribute the difficult inputs to two different characters, not so much the input themselves. When I was growing up, I played Jin in Tekken, and he has the electric hook fist. That one was really difficult as a kid because the concept of neutral didn't really exist for me as a kid. I'm just mashing, so I'm just doing double circles. And I didn't understand. I was like, oh no, you have to wait between the forward and then put a neutral in there. So sometimes I would get it by accident, and I'd be like, oh, that was really cool. I want to do it again, but I could never get it down. So electrics and Tekken as a kid was a really difficult thing. Even now, sometimes like electrics, if you don't get it right, they don't come out. You just get regular God fist or hook fist. But yeah, that one was one that I remember as a kid playing old Tekken, especially with Jin, because his hook fist was really difficult to do. That I would struggle with. Now it's more of a cancel. So I play Eno in Guilty Gear Plus R, and she has her FRC motion. It's a cancel. It's called a false Roman cancel. And basically it lets you cancel a certain move into something else. So she has a move called Chemical Love, a vertical one and a horizontal one. And it's one of her main moves that she uses during a fight. And canceling it is really important because one, you can make it safe. Two, you can start a mix-up. So you have to be able to cancel Chemical Love. And the window for that is so tight that even as an adult, I can't do it consistently. It's very, very difficult. And I think it has to be a couple frames. And they even show you in training mode and just like a flash. That's how they use the method. So once you see the flash, that's when you have to put the input. So it's what it is. It's half circle forward, or rather half circle back forward into tapping 3 buttons. But you have to do that all simultaneously within that flash. So getting that down is all about practice, and I still haven't gotten it down.